Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to my man Minaj. He's joined my Patreon. He's helping support the show and I'm helping him level up his life. Do you want me to give you a shout out at the beginning of my show? Join my Patreon today. Patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. Link is in the description. And here's the show.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, please give us a 5-star review and actually write out why you like the show. I ask you guys this every week, so do it. Also, comment something if you're watching on YouTube right now. Let's say, why don't we comment the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson? It really doesn't matter. Just comment something. It helps in the algorithm. And don't mind me. I'm just drinking my Dr. Pepper and cream soda, 0 sugar. Paul, are you getting paid by Dr. Pepper? Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But I love this shit. I love the 0-calorie sodas, but not the diet. I like the 0 sugar or like Coke Zero and, Pepsi Zero and stuff like that. But Dr. Pepper and cream soda, 0 sugar is pretty damn good. And I just like it because it's 0 calories, 0 carbs. So it fits in my diet lifestyle. And I don't like drinking water all the time. So some people might say, well, Paul, that's not good for you. Fuck you. I don't care. I don't care. It's 0 calories, 0 carbs. It works for me. And I like it. Anyway, that's not what the show's about today. Oh my God, I went on a Dr. Pepper tangent. My guest today is the TikToker formerly known as the Spunky Millennial. And she pretty much rebranded at the time of this recording, which was kind of funny because I had written up notes all based on Spunky Millennial. And she's like, oh, I hired a social media coach and he suggested using my real name. So now she rebranded everything to Sarah Dawn Moore. So by the time you're watching this, all of her stuff has been branded Sarah Dawn Moore. But I was following her, and you guys know me. I'm a little leery when it comes to female creators talking to men about men's stuff because most of them, they don't know their ass from their elbow. Let's just get real here. And they don't understand the plights of men. They don't understand what it's like to have to cold approach a woman. They just have to look pretty and show up. So how could they possibly know what it's like being a man in the dating and relationship market? But she's a little bit different. And I noticed recently at the time of the recording of this intro, that she's tailoring a lot of her content towards women now so that women can better understand men. And I totally think that's great. Like, I think if women understand what it takes to get and keep a man, like they're the best resources for other women to learn that stuff. The same way as you don't ask a fish how to catch a fish, you ask a fisherman. Same way that you don't ask women for advice about women, you ask a man that's successful with being with women. You know what I mean? So she's slightly different. She's also very well read. She's read over 100 books on relationships and sexual dynamics. After this recording, she asked me for some book recommendations and I recommended How to Be a 3% Man. So she started reading that book. She already messaged me back saying, oh, this is a fantastic book. He's spot on and stuff like that, which no shit. No shit. Anyway, Sarah, she's really, really cool. You'll love this interview, and I will bring that to you right after this. I get dudes that hit me up by a DM on social media, asking for advice on dating, relationships, texting, divorce, you name it. I also get guys that want me to do live sessions more. Then there are guys that want to tell me their story and have a one-on-one conversation. Guys, I hear you. And now you have some options. Here's the thing though. I'm a busy guy. And on top of that, I hate giving men advice and have it go in one ear and out the other. The only way to solve for that is to make sure that you have some skin in the game. In order to help you guys out that really want it, I've decided to sign up for Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/comeonmanpod, you can join one of 3 tiers. The first tier gives you access to my exclusive Discord community, where I'm trying to build a support system of like-minded guys, where we can all compare notes and give advice to each other. With that, you also get advice directly from me, and I'll answer your questions as I have time. In the second tier, you get to join a group Zoom call with me. Here, you and 9 other dudes can chat live with me over Zoom. It's way better than a live stream and will be way more personable because you actually get to talk with me, not just write questions in a chat like some peasant. Finally, for guys who really want help, you can have live one-on-one sessions with me. Both the second and third tiers have limited space, so sign up now because those seats will fill up quickly. Each tier gives you better bonuses as well, like my personal behind-the-scenes dating and relationship updates, as well as ad-free interviews published before the general public gets to see them. Support the show and let me help you. Join my Patreon today at patreon.com/comeonmanpod. That's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. All right, joining me this week is a pretty charismatic individual who is seeking to bridge the gap between men and women. Her name is Sarah Moore. And she's not just a spunky millennial. She's the spunky millennial, or rather the artist formerly known as the Spunky Millennial, which I just found out a few minutes ago. What's going on, Sarah?
Thanks for having me. Yes. Made a strategic decision to go full blown with my name, so that people can recognize me, just like Emily King, just like other people that have done this. It's kind of, I don't want them searching for multiple different things, but I am still spunky and I'm still a millennial.
Oh, okay. So it works out. You don't worry about what's it called, like rebranding, right?
I mean, in the middle of having 236,000 followers, I think TikTok will be forgiving, but I haven't really started on YouTube and Instagram. So before I do that, it's like I either do it now or I do it never. And I think with TikTok, they recognize not necessarily the name as much, but the red screen in the back. Once you kind of see that come up, they're like, oh, here's the girl that has a sharp mouth and advocates for men.
Right. Okay. So that does make sense, because I've dabbled in marketing for years, probably a good 17 years or so. Just like, that's not what I do for a living, but I've dabbled in it. And one thing that I do find funny is whenever a marketing manager takes over a company, the first thing they do is rebrand because they want to make it their own. But you know who never rebrands? Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is recognized worldwide. All right, shifting gears there though. So you're pretty new to the space. And I think you just started your TikTok account back in January, right?
Yeah, February 18th, I think, was my first post. It was right after Valentine's Day. Yep. I just put one out there and it went a little viral, and I didn't realize how much this was needed and how much people are listening.
It's a pretty big space. So I was originally curious about what brought you into it, but then I saw one of your videos explaining it. In 2017, you were engaged to an alcoholic abuser who broke things off 6 days before the wedding.
Yeah, there you go. That sums it up.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that was it. Look, after you look back, you realize that both people had issues going in and both people had issues going out. We're not necessarily meant to be together. Texas, I was in Texas at the time. I was in Houston, H-Town. And it's a very traditional state. I appreciate some things there that were good, but also the over 30 unmarried crowd is not very forgiving. So, we both felt very compelled to kind of rush into things and realized that there was definitely some differences between us. And he liked his liquor a little bit more than he liked me.
Mm.
He was pretty emotionally unavailable, but I was also very codependent and very enabling. And I have a long history and a lineage from my dad was an alcoholic and he was in recovery, but I learned codependency 101 from the women in my family. And that's why I started this. I realized that it starts with personal accountability, and I could go on blaming him for the rest of my life. And, oh, he wasted my good years. Oh, I spent so much time, just wasted in that relationship. But I didn't. It was for me, the relationship that changed everything in my life and essentially broke the cycle in my family and the women in my family.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So the video said that you lost yourself in drugs and other men to numb the pain and humiliation. Was that after he broke things off, or was that during the abusive relationship?
That was after. No.
Okay, it was okay. That makes sense.
No.
So when he broke things off from the said, I don't want to get married, was that the end of the relationship, or did you guys try to stick together for a little bit?
I mean, yeah, we tried, but I think there's really no coming back from that type of a situation.
Yeah.
We were hoping, okay, maybe we can kind of salvage this, but it really was unsalvageable. And so I didn't really know what to do at that point. I was just really humiliated, and I came from a background of like always perfect and everything's fine. And like people were going to my Facebook and going, wait, weren't you supposed to get married like a couple days ago? And then now you're not. And it's
so I mean, it was really public then, like all over social media, all your friends and family probably already had plane tickets booked and stuff. And
Oh yeah. Everybody was on their way. It was going to be a destination. It was in Arizona, which was my hometown. It was paid for. It was ready to go. And it just blew up. And then I didn't take responsibility. I didn't really want to know what happened for like a couple of years. I was just like, men suck. So I'm gonna go down this path. I got addicted to benzodiazepines because I was in so much angst and anxiety. It's Klonopin, same thing that Jordan Peterson got addicted to.
It's an anti-anxiety medicine?
Yep, it's an anti-anxiety medicine, and it was prescribed by a doctor just for sleep.
Isn't it funny how doctors just love handing out drugs? Like
they do.
Like they don't even care about solving the problem. They're just like, you know what? Here's a pill.
Yeah. And if they would have handed it to me and said, this is one of the most highly addictive drugs in the United States, minus benzodiazepines or minus opioids, like I probably would have gone, okay, maybe we should go the natural route. But I had, I was in so much pain, and like I was in so much just confusion and questioning at that point in my life where I just was like, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen? And then I just kind of did what men do to women. I was like, I'm just gonna go out and have a good time and use them and lose them. And that's what I did until
it's kind of derogatory, but they call that a hoe face, right? I mean,
I know you talk about it, and that's fine. I admit it. I will admit to the hoe face.
I'm not even judging. I mean, that's
no. I know, I've heard it, and it's true, and I did, and I admit to it, and then I kind of hit rock bottom and realized that there was some deep-seated trauma. I know you had seen, it was funny, you'd made that comment, like, who hurt you? I'm like, ugh, a lot of people had hurt me, and I had hurt myself. So I stopped and said, I got to stop this. If I want to have a relationship with a man, I better stop and figure out who you guys are and learn how to get along with you, because it's like, you can't go digging for gold and not read the manual on how to dig for gold. So that's what I did.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you had to do a little bit of rehab, and you even moved out of state. Oh, that's harsh, right? Like
you're like, man, I did. I left. Well, I was in Texas.
No, I mean, all this stuff is good though, because a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you have to like remove yourself from certain people. I love my family, but they are toxic as hell. I just spent the weekend with like my extended family members, and like my great uncle, right, sitting there just 3 sheets to the wind, and he's like, oh, Mr. Paul over here likes to work out. He thinks he's going to live to be 1,000,000 years old. And, and I'm just like, what is your deal? He's like, I never thought that working out meant anything. And here I am, I'm 84. And I'm just like, you know what? This is why we don't hang out, Uncle Louie.
Exactly. Exactly.
But like I've had to learn to separate myself from certain people and family members. You can't completely cut ties with them some of the time. So you just have to like really limit yourself. But it's great to remove yourself from situations like that. So yeah, I'm not judging at all. Like moving out of state was probably a smart idea.
Yeah. I mean, I had a condo, I had my condo, I had my friends. Like it was, constant kind of reminders of this like old life that I had. And my family is good. I mean, we have our toxicity sometimes, but for me, I needed to get back to Arizona to that's where I grew up. I just needed kind of some cohesion or some normalcy. Like I just needed my life to just be kind of boring for a little while I like worked on myself and realized that a lot of my issues and a lot of my trauma had come from losing my dad at a young age. Just not knowing how to rely on a man and picking men, staying with men because you try and get your validation and your worth from them and they're just real shitty. You don't leave because you just think like, I don't, this is maybe what it is. This is what I deserve, or this is the only model that I've had of what a man looks like. And that's it. You start forming these belief systems really young, and subconsciously they rule your life until they don't. Until they don't. Yeah,
that makes sense. So yeah, you mentioned me saying who hurt you. I get that a lot in my comments. A lot of men in the space get that. It's a very dismissive comment. But the funny thing about it is, at least for men, and certainly some women, but without that kind of pain, you don't go looking for the right answers. You just keep doing what you've always done and you never learn your lesson. But so like pain is sort of necessary. And I think it's so ridiculous when people comment that like, oh, who hurt you, as if they have never been hurt.
I mean, you don't make it I mean, I feel for the people that have never had to experience that. Like, good. How is that? It's either it scares me because I'm going, wait, do you not have like the emotional depth to go there? Or like, have you just really never experienced pain? Like it just, or you're just too egotistical to like admit it. Like you don't want to be vulnerable and share with people. Like,
I think that's what that is. I think that's what it is. Everyone's experienced pain in one form or another. And I don't think, I mean, some people haven't experienced the kind of pain that sends them on like this life journey though, like
that's true.
Of experience. But everyone's had their heart broken at least once. But it's usually like one person. There's usually one origin story, one Batman origin story for all of us in this space. And it sounds like this situation in 2017 was your Batwoman story.
Yep, that was it. That was the flashing light going, get help me, or help me, someone.
Yeah. You also read 100 books on relationships.
I read a lot of books.
Did you actually count them? Is it actually 100, or was that just a number arbitrarily thrown out?
I mean, it's probably more at this point, but I mean, yeah, I read anywhere from Peter Levine's work on somatic experience and how we hold stress in the body, to Pia Melody. She does codependency work. I read the book. I read AA. I've read, I went on a rabbit hole because I didn't date for 2 years. Like I took a time out just to like stop. And then, I mean, and so that leads me to this, right? So when I was looking for books on understanding men, like besides, okay, you have like Mars and Venus, and you have, I don't think there's another one that's like the handbook for women. And like, it's got some stuff in there about how, men really thrive on appreciation, but like there's really not a lot out there. on you guys. And I don't know if you know that, but the only person that I found, Allison Armstrong, whom I stumbled upon, who does a lot of work with Tony Robbins, she's studied you all for 25 years. I mean, and she has amazing insight into how you think, what makes you tick, you know, a lot of how women are, their actions and how men's response to those actions are. Like sometimes we don't realize like what we do kind of triggers a response from you. So there's not a lot out there. So I read 100 books but then when I was looking for books on men to understand you and how you think, I like couldn't find any. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, why is that? Is there not a market for it? Do people not care? Like, are
I think that's what it is. I think that
are women not interested?
Yeah. There's there was a gentleman I had on the podcast earlier this year. He's really big in the men's space. His name is Rich Cooper, and he wrote a book called The Unplug Alpha. But he's famous for always saying that, you know, women don't care about your struggles. They wait at the finish line and date the winners, you know? And I think that's, it might not be conscious, but I think that's very much a subconscious reality for a lot of women. They don't care about men's struggles. So they're not going to go research what men think because they don't care. You know, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, and I'm actually finding, you know, as I'm doing this social media thing, my original intent was to speak to women. Now, what I'm finding is that I didn't even know what a pick me was. I didn't even know what these terms were, you know, misogynistic, misogyny is alive in you, sis. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
because I'm talking about 4 traits that, you know, reasons why not to talk to your man a certain way. Like it's just kind of boggling to me. So I'm shifting now to helping men potentially because they're interested and they're like, well, maybe there are women out there that want to understand us. And so I want to help them get to their best elevated self so that when they do recognize a woman like me or a woman like Emily or a woman, you know, Lauren, Dadvocate, there's quite a few of us now that have become friends and that all think the same way, that we want to understand men. So the percentage of women that want this is very, very small. So I don't want to ignore them. I don't want to turn my back on them and say, okay, I'm out. But at the same time, if my audience is going to be men, then I want to give them something. And they're asking me like, so then how do I find a woman that will appreciate me? And I want to answer those questions. So I'm kind of leaving the woman behind, unfortunately.
So you're no longer speaking to women, you're giving men the keys to the kingdom is what.
Maybe. I think this is new press release, like just on the docket, you know, after, I mean, my account got banned from posting for 7 days on TikTok. So I've been forced to make some decisions.
Are you in a ban at the time of this recording?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because it's like you've had explosive growth since you started, like you said, back in February. You have how many? Like
237,000.
Right. Since February, which is astronomical. It took me last year until June to get to 30,000. And then I got banned. And then I had to start all over from scratch. And I still haven't gotten back to where I was last year in June.
Wow. And that's sad.
No. It's just, I'm constantly fighting shadow bans. I'm constantly fighting, being put in TikTok jail. And one thing though that I've really tried this go around to like color within the lines, so I don't get put in upload bans as often. But I learned that if you get put in a ban, you really need to space out, or not put in a ban. When you get a video flagged, you really need to space out that time between community guidelines violations, or else, because if you get too many in a small period of time, that's when you get the permanently banned.
And what they're reporting me for, right, is harassment or bullying, and it's not even it has nothing to do with that. But now I realize, I did put out one about, I'm sure you'll find this amusing, but I did put one out about the trans community and how
you can't talk about them.
I guess not.
They that shall not be named. Yeah.
Well, and then I, put one about Amber Heard, but look, I mean, the truth is as a woman, I have a real hard time with supporting a man getting our awards and men competing in our sports. It's like we've worked so hard to get to where we are as women, and we continue to work hard. And I don't believe that necessarily the patriarchy exists. Unfortunately, that's not been a thing for me in my life. And I have a big corporate job. I've worked my way up the ranks. I've made sacrifices like men have. I have done what I needed to do in corporate America and have gotten where I needed to gotten to. But this whole patriarchy, the feminism, all of this, the climate right now is just very confusing. And if you stand up against it and you're a woman, ooh, forget it. That's it. You're banned. So I thought, well, it's time to shift. And I've gotten a good following now on TikTok, and now YouTube and Instagram are next, because I can at least speak freely on YouTube and not get in purgatory.
Yeah, I haven't had any flags on YouTube at all, knock on wood. I have had some dings on Instagram, but that's just because of silly memes I put out there, but
yeah.
But it's nowhere near as bad as TikTok. One of the reasons why I got banned last year was there was this whole trend going around last year about being super straight. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was hilarious. It was just a big joke though, right? No one was taking it seriously, really. And what happened was some trans person put out a video saying, well, if you won't date a trans woman, then you're a transphobe. And this guy stitched that video and he goes, look, if that's a preference, but if you guys want to play that game, then fine. I am super straight. I identify as super straight. That means I only date biological women. And if you don't like it, then you're was it super straight phobic or something, right?
That's
it was just
hilarious.
It blew up. And so they ended up having their own flag, it was like black and orange, and there was music written about it. And so there's this whole super straight trend. And I put out a couple of videos coming out as super straight, and all of my super straight videos got taken down and flagged for bullying. And it's just so sad, because in the funny thing about the trans community and competing in sports, it's like in the women that support that, it's like, ladies, do you not understand what they're saying? That men are better women than you are? I mean, that's really what it's saying, right?
Yeah. So the video that I did was 2001, I believe. The towers fell. Glamour gave the Woman of the Year award to a police officer who had lost her life in the towers. And, it was fast forward 16 years later, you got Laverne Cox got the award for Woman of the Year. And then you had Caitlyn Jenner get the award for Woman of the Year. The fallen officer's husband gave the award back to Glamour and said, you just take it back. I don't want anything to do with this. You just made a mockery of my dead wife. And I just I thought I would shake that man's hand if I saw him. And that has nothing to do with me being against the trans community. Yeah. It has nothing to do with it. You live your life the way you want to live your life. You be happy. If that means that you want to identify as a woman, then great. But don't tell me that that you have walked the shoes, you have walked in the life of being a woman, and you have experienced all these things. And some women will say, well, they've had it harder. And I'm like, okay, so now it's a competition.
Right.
I find it to be very hypocritical and very this ultra left feminism movement, which is really degrading women in general, calling us birthing people,
for Mother's Day,
milk feeders or something. And I'm like, what is happening?
It's a clown world that we're living in. Yeah,
it's a clown world.
It's nuts. Let's go back to your videos a little bit though. So
okay.
your videos are pretty well produced.
Nice.
Good lighting. You have the same red background all the time. And you said you've never done this before. Because my initial thought was, oh, she's made content. She's a content creator. She's done this before. She's just doing a new niche.
No. I'm in marketing. That's my job. I work for.
That was going to be my next question. If that wasn't it.
Yeah, I've learned a lot, but I work in corporate America, and I work for a very well-known pharmaceutical company. I'm sure people can find it out on my LinkedIn, but I've learned that it's a completely different form of marketing, but I've learned a lot in that process. I'm a musician on my off time. As you can see, I have instruments hanging and pianos, and I was an actor in school and did opera. And so I'm not camera shy, but I just got on literally having something. I just thought, I'm just going to get on here and have something to say. And that's it. That's all I did. And all of a sudden I didn't realize at first, I put a video out there that said, men aren't necessarily all to blame for cheating in their relationship. Now, I wish I would have worded that a little bit differently now that I look back, because it's gotten me some pretty good press, bad press, right? They say like bad press is good press.
Yeah.
It blew up my account, but it also created a lot of discord, and it's not what I meant. There were reasons behind what I said, but the minute that you say that a man is not necessarily at fault for stepping out of his relationship, even though divorce is against men, even though divorce courts and losing their children, losing half their income, their wives not sleeping with them, like even though all these things happening, like there's a lot of things that we need to consider and be a little bit more compassionate about. But that video got a lot of slack. Got on, what's her name? Kaylee Cress's, that woman. She just tears down men. Yeah, she's good. That got some.
I know. Drew. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we chatted offline about that. I preemptively blocked her because I've got her army of trolls that will just tag her in the comments. I'm just like, I blocked her, losers.
Yeah, me too. They come after me too. So I just think, I started out, I said some controversial things, not on purpose. I was just talking, didn't really think that it was going to get, and I think TikTok recognizes it as controversial, and they'll push it out no matter whether it's good or bad.
I wish that was the case, because I'll put out controversial stuff that'll just totally flop, and then I'll put out something that's totally dumb, and I'm like, this is what's blowing up. Like,
it's weird. There's no rhyme or reason. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. But the red background I think helps. It's catchy, and it's kind of, again, just branding. And red's my favorite color, as you can see. Once again, I just thought I went on Amazon, $16.99, red background, looks good to me. Like,
yeah. So you have like a backdrop that you sit in front of, and like a ring light, and look at that. We're on the set, live on the set.
I was like making sure that my computer was turned so you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
For
those listening on audio, she just turned the camera over to her $1 million set.
It's literally Velcro on the top of my pictures.
Years ago, I did a tech show on YouTube that did pretty well, and I was doing a green screen at that time, and that became a huge pain in the butt, though, because I had to, after I'd film, I'd have to go through and do the chroma keying, and it would take me hours to edit a video. It just became such a big production that when I decided to do this podcast, I was like, I'm not doing all that. I'll talk to people.
A lot of work,
but it's going out. It's just going. It's going out as is, and it's been more fun.
People don't realize how much work this is. I mean, I had no idea. And with a full-time job, it's turned into, now it could potentially be something very different than when I thought it was, where maybe I could do this as a living, but it's, I wake up at 5, I grind, I go to work, I write my scripts after work, I read. I want to make sure that I'm actually putting out content that isn't just me spouting off some opinions. Like I actually do. I look at my bookcase over here, and there's 20 books I'm going through right now, just trying to explain points that have been researched. So it just takes a lot of time to like actually put out quality stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you could tell by the quality of videos that you put out. It's not just the random trash like that I put out, but with zero research. No, just kidding. I read books. Let's see here. So you put out, you're putting out a series now on what your taste in music says about you as a man. And what gave you the idea to do that? Like, by the way, your country one is pretty hilarious.
It's just, my brother I have no idea where I got this idea from. I've dated different types of people, and I dated a guy who was just super into like metal music and, in his 40s. And then like I found out he had like a drinking problem and had some childhood trauma that wasn't resolved. And, he kind of used music like Tool and all this like hard metal that he would listen to. And it was just kind of indicative of like his personality. My brother, one of my other brothers, I have 4 brothers. That's why I love men so much. My brothers are amazing. But one of my other brothers also likes metal. And I was telling him the idea, and he just couldn't stop laughing. He was like, "Oh my God, that's hilarious. Like people will identify with that." And I wish I just literally put it out. Now I'm taking my time and going through, because I'm doing one on folk. I'm doing one on, Dave Matthews Band type of, and it's kind of true.
Dave Matthews, guys.
Dave Matthews.
I'm going to get hate comments for that. They're like, "What's wrong with Dave Matthews, bro?" Like, they're
like, those are the guys that, like, will go to like, "Oh yeah, man, Red Rocks, Colorado. Like, we're going to plan. We got to go to every like they're just constantly going." And then you have like your EDM guys who will go to, like, can't wait to drop some acid and go to did you bring the baggie for the girls, dude? Like there's certain types of people that gravitate towards the subculture. And I've dated a guy who wanted to go to festivals and dress up in a bunny suit and drop some acid. I was like, wow, more power to you, buddy.
That sounds great. So what does it say about me that I like pretty much all genres of music except polka?
Okay, that's good. Polka.
I don't like polka. Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
I would draw the line there too. You're diverse. You're open to, different views, and you're not confined to, one belief system. I think it's great. I listen to tons of different music. I listen to Christian music, and I'm not a Christian. Like, I listen to whatever. It just depends on what mood I'm in. So it's tough, right? You want to make I make a lot of generalizations. So I'm putting you in a box, and, if you listen to everything, then that's cool. But this is just it's funny. It's like, I saw another woman do a content on what car you drive, if you drive an F-150, if you drive a Mustang, and it was pretty funny. It was, you drive a Subaru that like makes a lot of noise, and you put whatever those things, was it subwoofer? What are the things called that makes a lot of noise?
Yeah. Subwoofer. Yeah.
This is a woman. Yeah. Like you're just, that's the type of guy you are. Like you might measure your thing with a ruler. Like, I don't,
well, what does it say?
Stuff.
What does it say about people who do listen to polka music? I mean,
I haven't done that one yet. I have to think through that. I imagine like suspenders and a top hat, or I imagine you're sensitive. You're a very sensitive man who likes to very beta man. Hey, there's a man out there for everybody.
Sure. I think, like, I don't know. The only exposure to polka I've ever had was through Weird Al Yankovic, because he always had his parody songs, but then he would throw in polka music, and you're like, what is this? So I imagine nerdy people.
Where'd he go? Yeah, that's what I said. Like, so
he still tours. He still tours.
Wow.
He was just in Grand Junction, I think last year or 2 years ago.
That's cool. Good for him. He made polka. He made polka a thing.
Yeah. So going back to feminism, we talked about that a little bit. You've done some videos where you basically are like, you're not a feminist. You're not a big fan of the feminist movement. But so like on its surface, it seems like a good idea, right? Like women can vote now, women can work. Like you work in the corporate environment, but where do you think feminism went wrong?
I think feminism went wrong the minute that we shifted to having to uplift a woman. You must place your foot on a man. We can't both uplift each other. We can't both, go after the C-suite jobs and have it. I have a great saying, make it be based off of merits, not makeup. Right. Let's both go after these opportunities, and whoever gets it, gets it. But now I just think we've lost the meaning of what the power of true femininity is. There is a crisis, I believe, with masculinity in women. And it's almost as if you are looked upon as weak if you are feminine. We've lost the fact that really who rules the world really is beautiful, soft, feminine women. And you will find one of those women behind a good man. You will find, Ronald Reagan, the Bush dynasty. Like I have a massive respect for these women my godmother, who basically controlled my godfather for 50 years, but she did it with grace and with kindness. And when he got a little too out of control, she'd reel him back in. She taught me what it was truly to be truly a feminist, right? And now it's like we've lost this meaning where we're okay. Let's just yell at the top of our lungs to try and get what we want. Let's just come out with this ideology. And if you're against it, even your own sex can't even stand up against it without getting major backlash. So we've gone awry in many different areas. One, I think, again, we cannot make it about standing on the necks of our men. We have to uplift them as well. And we also can't, we've just lost what femininity means in today. And I think that's why there's a lot of things going wrong, especially in the dating world.
Yeah. Yes. It's fascinating because it's like the feminists, they, in order to gain more power or whatever, did have to become more masculine. And then, when they're competing in the workforce with other men, I feel like a lot of them think that they have to be more masculine. And then simultaneously, because of the feminist movement, society's telling men not to be so masculine and to be more sensitive and stuff like that. And so we end up having another problem where we're raising defective boys. We're basically raising not defective boys, but they're being raised as defective women.
Yeah. And when you listen to Jordan Peterson, right, I feel him like to my core. Like I heard him, and as a woman, there's a lot of women that don't like him, especially in Southern California. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
But when I listen to him, I don't agree with 5% of what he says, but 95% of what he says, and I've read his book. I've read 12 Rules for Life because it was just a good book, regardless of whether you were a man or a woman. But he gets emotional when you say toxic masculinity. And I 100% agree with him because yes, there's a small portion of the population that will rape and that will pillage and that will murder and all that. But does that mean that 95% of men are like that? Absolutely not. And masculinity is what we need. And I don't know if there's anything toxic about it. Like we wouldn't be here if it weren't for toxic masculinity, like going to war, killing, standing up for, like, these men go to war for us. And you guys are just underestimated. And I think, we've really done a number. And I did a video on that as far as emasculating men. I used to I used to do it and I didn't know I was doing it until I did, and until I stopped and realized that I have so much more power and I have so much more, I don't know, like control over, I don't want to say control, but a partnership with my man. If I'm not emasculating him, I'm like, I'm actually allowing him to be the man. And of course he's going to want to take my input. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be some submissive, like, okay, honey, whatever you say. Like,
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I think women think that if you're not this way, then you have to be this way.
Right. Like it's black and white.
Black and white. You're either ultra feminine and going back to Mad Men 1950s, or you're ruling the household.
Yeah. See, that brings up a good point. I put out a lot of videos where I talk about don't ask your wife or your girlfriend like where she wants to eat. Just tell her, right? Hey, we're having steak tonight. You know, grab your fancy shoes or whatever. And a lot of like some women will get really mad about that. The comments, oh, like we don't get a say and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're missing the point here though. Like what I found when I started doing that was, one, I don't have the stupid where do you want to eat conversation ever. Never. Right. And it's not that I'm being controlling. It's just that I'm being decisive. And so I'm picking where I want to eat and I just tell her. And she 99.9% of the time is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Like she doesn't care. But she's learned that's what I'll do. So if she really does want to eat somewhere, she will suggest it. She'll say, hey, tomorrow night, let's go eat so and so. And I'm like, perfect. Like I'm not just being a controlling jerk.
No.
But we never have that conversation of, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you, that annoys everybody. Yeah. Everybody hates that conversation, even women, like, cause they're like, just pick a place,
and what I learned when I was doing my research on men, right, is that you all like to be really efficient. You're very you're very driven by, my time is efficient. My energy is efficient. You view things as kind of like, in my day, is it worth it to do it or not? And I think the conversation of where we're going to dinner, if it takes 20 minutes, to you guys, you're like, this is not worth it. Like this is an expenditure of energy, just like going shopping with us, which you can't stand. Right? Because it's a waste of time. A hunter goes in, hunts for the black shirt and gets the heck out of there.
Yeah.
So once I learned that, and I learned it's not about me. I'm not taking it personally. It's just that he wants to be efficient. And furthermore, that you guys want to make us happy.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what a lot of guys, they really don't care where they want to eat. That's why they want you to decide, because they want you to be happy and they don't want to hear you complain about it. But it's like, guys don't understand that if they just picked a place, they would just be happy. And then, and then she actually likes that you're being decisive, and then she's happy, and it's all magic and rainbows after that.
Yeah. And I will say, until I embraced kind of that space, right, where I was able to let a man lead and let him make decisions, it would feel very like push and pull and kind of like this tug of war. And there's some things where I'm now willing to have a discussion about, and there's some things where I'm like, you know what, this is not worth it. I'm just going to let him make it. Like, I'm going to let him make this decision. And it just works. Like, it just works out. And sometimes you lead, sometimes they lead. Like, it's a flow. It's a balance.
Yeah, it could certainly balance out. We got time. So you have another series on double standards between men and women. And this, I think one of these is one of the ones that I first saw, because one of them was duetted by dudes who, when you asked if they wanted to know a double standard, they said nope, and then they just turned and started playing video games, and
it became a meme. It became a meme. I can't believe it.
I must have seen like at least a dozen of those duets where guys just are like, nope. And then they just went to play video games. And I was just like, I don't think that's what she had in mind, but what was your initial reaction to those duets?
I thought, well, I didn't see the video. I mean, I saw people doing the video game ones, and I saw the music. There's music ones where they'd go, nope, and then they go play, music. I think it's because they thought I was going to say the opposite, the double standard about, I was going to point out women and how we have the double standard. So I just think it was funny because if one guy commented, he goes, "Oh, I actually went and I watched the full video and she's actually speaking for us guys." And I thought, yeah, well, that was the point. But
they didn't even watch it. They heard the first 2 seconds and they're like, that's it. I'm stitching this video. And
oh, it was hysterical. And I've become really good friends with his name is Jam Music or Jamar Music. He's used probably 20 of my videos to make stitches out of, and he tells me every time. We tag each other now. I have a friend, commenters that say, "Jam, do a video to this one," and I'm like, look, I'm a true lover of men. I'm a true supporter. I think your sense of humor is hysterical. You're dry, you're crass sometimes. I just think you're funny, and it's just funny. Take a joke. Right. Again, just take a joke.
It's TikTok women, for crying out loud. Yeah.
TikTok. It's just funny.
Going back to what you were saying about how you used to emasculate men. Mm-hmm. You have a video where you talked about how you used to criticize how they did housework, comparing them to other men. Did the books you read help you realize you were doing that? And then do you ever find yourself falling back on old habits where because for me, I've had to try to reprogram how I interact with women, completely. Over the last 2 years, it's been a work in progress. Probably one of the reasons why I have this podcast. And I have to be very conscious about my interaction with my girlfriend. And every once in a while, I will catch myself slipping into old habits or wanting to slip into an old habit. And then I'll realize it and hold myself back, or sometimes something will slip and then I'll have to sort of course correct or whatever, Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cause it's hard to undo 30 plus years of programming,
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm 37. I'll own up to that. So yes, sorry, there's ambulance going by. Yeah. So in the past, I'd say in the last year is when I came upon this woman named Alison Armstrong, and she is this guru. She is a guru on men. And I paid for her course, $150. It was 15 hours of listening and interaction. And she was the one that was it's not just about the harsh things that we do with men. It's about the little tiny small things that we do, every day that are causing our men to feel less than. And that was, I didn't realize that it wasn't him that was doing the housework on purpose to piss me off. It was that we had different standards, and, he saw things differently than I did. And it didn't bother him to leave the dishes in the sink for, the whole day. And then we come home and clean them. It's just having these little conversations that will really help alleviate the tension and the communication issues between us. I am, really currently I'm single. I haven't been for this whole time, but I'm looking for, my relationship, and I'm looking for that man, whatever he decides to show up. And so I actively do my best, during my dating situations. I'm pretty good at it now, as far as understanding where, if I'm doing something that is, usually it's when I'm triggered. Usually it's when I'm feeling out of control, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm feeling insecure, or it's really I trace it back to myself. And because if I'm having a reaction, I'm going, okay, what is happening within me? Forget him for a moment. I don't know what's going on there. I need to address what's happening with me. And then typically once I do that, I can get a hold of whatever is bothering me and really assess whether it's him or it's me. And a lot of the times it's just me having a reaction. I give myself 24 hours, right? Like, take yourself, I don't make any decisions or anything. If I'm dating someone and I'm feeling a certain way, it's like, just take yourself out and calm down for a second and then address it later if it needs to. But a lot of times it's just a miscommunication, and it's just a different standard of how, or how you see things versus how we see things as men and women. And it bothers me. And I think that's another reason why this, a lot of people have become big on TikTok, is because a lot of the times we are ignoring how gender roles play a part in our relationship. Like, people think that that's like a bad thing now or something. I don't really know, but I don't think it is. I think we don't talk enough about it. And I think that John Gray, who was the founder of this Mars and Venus movement, he had damn good points. His books are still relevant today. And if I hate that we're,
I was going to say, what's the biggest takeaway you got from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
I mean, besides the fact that like we see things completely different, like the fact that men need time to process and think and need some time to, collect their thoughts before they make decisions, and women are emotional and you guys are logical. So if we want to talk to you, need to come to you with like facts.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from that book is a real short read. If people want to read it, it's like on audio, it's like a 2-hour read, 2-hour listen. I listened to it on my commute to Grand Junction one day and back. And my biggest takeaway from that was that men and women, neither of them like unsolicited advice, but for different reasons. That was it. Like, I was 2 hours, and that's what I got out of that book. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Nice.
Because like you also, I put out videos every once in a while talking about how, women just want you to listen. They don't want you to solve their problems. And like a lot of that is the concept from that book too,
Yeah. And men don't want unsolicited. Yeah. Because it diminishes their ability to like be a problem solver. Like that you guys want to figure stuff out. And if we come in there offering advice, it's like, here, let me just cut you off on the knees. And again, emasculation, but we don't realize we're just trying to be helpful. We just want to help and get you to the answer. But again, little boys.
Same with men. Yeah. Men are problem solvers. So you come to us with a problem like, oh, well, there's a clear solution here. This is how you solve that, but women don't want that either. So that's the biggest thing I got out of that book.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're pretty close to an hour here, and I'm all out of questions. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, go to TikTok. I just changed it today. Sarah Dawn Moore. YouTube, Sarah Dawn Moore. I just started, and then Instagram, Sarah Dawn Moore, and you're going to start seeing a lot more on YouTube, a lot more on Instagram. I'm really trying to really help men understand what an emotionally mature woman looks like and how to navigate this very interesting world of dating that we find ourselves in, and potentially how to help a woman who is ready to learn and who is ready to be in a really committed, loving relationship. That's the type of advice that I'm going to be giving. So tell your viewers to come and find me, and I'll be starting doing classes and group classes and all sorts of stuff.
All right, good stuff.
I really want to build a community.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'll put links to all this stuff in the description. Sarah, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you. All right, I'll see you online.
Yes, ma'am. Sarah, thanks again for joining me. You're welcome back anytime. It's funny, when I was writing up the questions for the interview, one thing that I can't get out of my mind. So I used to date a gal named Sarah, and but she spelled it Sara, and because of the Jimmy Fallon skit where he's dressed like a chick and he says, "My name is Sarah," that's Sara because H's are ew. Like, that's all I could think of whenever a chick spells her name, Sarah with an H. I'm like, Sarah with an H, H's are ew. Anyway, stupid. Great conversation today. Guys, definitely give her a follow. In fact, she's got a bigger following than me. So maybe it would be better if she told her people to follow me, right? That would be nice. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice change of pace. At the time of this recording too, guys, I recently just launched my Patreon. You probably listened to the ad for it already, but check it out. It's going to be in the description. It's also patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Join my community. I'm trying to build a community of like-minded guys that want to reach that next level, guys that want to be better in life, right? And there's a lot of free forums out there. And the problem with those is it's a cesspool of cherry pickers and knowledge leechers. It's like guys that don't really want to put in the work. They want to try to do things on easy mode, and they never get the results that they want because they're not really invested. So this group will be for a group of guys that are totally invested. It's my private Discord server. And you guys can literally say pretty much anything you want as long as it's in my guidelines, and my guidelines aren't even that strict. You know what I mean? But one of the problems with being on like a Facebook group or whatever is you have to deal with Facebook's bullshit guidelines, and I'm not going to censor that kind of stuff in my Discord channel. So check out my Patreon. There's also ways for you to be able to talk to me directly, either in a group Zoom conversation or one-on-one. So check it out, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. And other than that, we'll see you guys here next week on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.